Annie, do you hear me?
I do hear you. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. How you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing fine. How are y'all?
Doing great.
I hear everybody but Lawrence. I see his mouth moving, but I don't hear him.
And he does not show that he's muted, so it may be a microphone issue on his end.
And then he ran away.
Yeah, he ran away.
But I did see his mouth moving.
And I think I have reins of control. So first thing, we need to set a chairperson for the meeting. So if I could get a motion for someone to be chair for this meeting, I would appreciate that.
Make a motion that Mr. Wicker be the chair for the meeting.
I'd be happy to be the chair.
We need a second.
Who said that? Who was the person that said that?
Yeah, Henry.
Did you hear me second?
I'm here now.
I believe Henry made the motion, and I'm waiting for a second.
This is Andrew. I was second.
And if we could get an individual sound off, or I'll let Lawrence make the roll call.
I will second.
Oh, okay, all in favor, raise your right hand again. Is Ashley part of the meeting yet?
Yeah, can you not see me?
No.
Might be a little video camera with an X through it.
Does it have it on? I mean, it's on, it doesn't have an X through it.
I was going to suggest that we go, hi, everybody, this is Lawrence. I was going to suggest that we just go person by person for the votes instead of trying to do a hand vote. And because the video kind of catches up slowly, we might want to announce who it is that's speaking so that whoever's recording the minutes can document this. If you'd be so kind. I believe we had a motion and a second. Unless somebody else has already counted the votes, I'm just going to go slowly for the first time. Mr. Earls, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Boswell?
Yes.
Mr. Fuertes, excuse me.
That's all right. Yes.
Ms. Cade?
What are we voting on?
This was who's going to be your chair for the evening.
Okay. Who is, can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is Henry? Is
Mr. Fuertes is the newest appointed P&Z member replacing, I don't know if he replaced Mr. Duncan, or he replaced Ms. Starr.
Thank you. I had never met him or anything. I thought, I just glad to meet him.
Okay.
Hi, Henry.
No, I haven't either. I've not met Henry.
Me neither.
I was very confused by that. Thank you. Henry, it's wonderful to meet you.
You're not missing anything, I promise.
No, I'm very happy to meet you.
So moving the meeting along, Ms. Cade, in regards to Mr. Wicker running the meeting, how is it that you vote?
I voted yes like 3 times.
Sorry, we're
That's
trying
okay.
to slowly and stopping.
No problem.
Okay, and then Mr. Wicker, you as well?
I'm not understanding what you're saying.
I assume that you are also voting for yourself to be the chair for the meeting? You okay with that?
I vote yes. I'd be happy to serve tonight.
Okay, so it sounds like we have everybody voting on this particular issue. With that, Mr. Wicker, you are the designated chair, and as such, I believe you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to call the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for April 6, 2020 to order at least 6:30 p.m. We have item number 2, consent agenda, and there's no items for approval on the consent agenda, so we'll move to item number 3, new business. A, consideration and possible action, approval of an irregular shaped lot to allow approval of an amending plat of a property VARP 20-0005, a request of Chad Gormly, the applicant, on behalf of Denise Vargo, owner, for approval of a variance permitted in section 2.6.1.1 B, subparagraph C or A, or 1, I'm sorry, of the Unified Development Code ordinance number 2000-T to allow approval of the creation of an irregularly shaped lot described to with. The general location is 2723 Manville Road. Do we have any public input?
Before we get to the public input, we'll have a motion and second, and then we'll go to the staff report, please.
Okay, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
I second.
This is Lainey. So moved.
This is Andrew Earls. I second.
At this point, Martin, the staff need to present this, or do we need public input?
Yes, sir. Vince will start the staff report.
2720, hello? This property located at 2723 Manville Road is to allow approval of amending plat to adjust an existing property line. Staff recommends approval of this variance because it meets the criteria for approval found in the UDC for approval of a planning and zoning variance. This next slide shows the location of the applicant's property at 2723 Manville Road, which is also a spur of FM 1128. And the next slide shows the configuration of the proposed amending plat. And basically what they ultimately intend to do is to move an existing property line a few feet to the east. That concludes my staff presentation.
So now we will have any call for public input.
Did anyone register for public input?
I spoke to Mr. Chad Gormly. He said that I did mention the process for signing up to be able to speak, but he said that he was not planning to.
And that would be the applicant, oops. And that would be the applicant, but if I understand
Yes.
correctly, somebody needed to register by noon today if they wanted to speak on this particular issue. Has anybody registered to speak on this particular issue, city staff?
The only thing I'm aware of was that Chad had not intended to register.
Nobody registered to speak on this issue.
I assume that was Josh who just commented in. Thank you, Josh. If nobody has registered, Mr. Wicker, I believe the call for public input is over.
Okay. At this point, I would call for a vote, and we should do this individually, I presume.
It would be easier for us to track it and to take minutes. Yes, sir. So if you could go down the line in any order you so choose.
Okay. Andrew, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ashley, how do you vote?
Yes.
Henry, how do you vote?
Yes, approved.
And I don't see Lanny, but Lanny, how do you vote?
Yes.
And the chairman votes yes also. Motion is approved unanimously. Next item on the agenda is B, consideration and possible action. Final plat of Stewart Heights at Savannah, Section 14, plat 20-00024. A request of Cameron Lowe of LJA Engineering, the applicant, on behalf of Savannah Development Limited, owner, and for approval of the final plat of Stewart's Heights at Savannah Section 14, creating 55 single-family lots and 6 reserves on 16.078 acres of land located north of County Road 58, west of Augusta Manor Drive, described as a subdivision of 16.078 acres of land situated in AB Langerman Survey Abstract 456, Fort Bend County, Texas. General location is north side of County Road 58, west of Augusta Manor Drive. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved. This is Laney.
This is Andrew. I second.
Staff presentation at this point? Do we have staff presentation?
Savannah Section 14 is located in the city of Pearland's territorial jurisdiction in Brazoria County on the north side of County Road 58 west of Augusta Manor Drive. Next slide, please. This plat meets the review criteria found in the code conformance table, and staff also recommends approval of the final plat historic height at Savannah Section 14 because it meets the criteria for approval found in the UDC for a final plat. The next slide shows the location of the applicant's property within the City of Pearland ETJ. And the next two slides show the configuration of the proposed final plat. And again, I want to mention that this property is covered by the Lakes of Savannah Development Agreement, and also it is located in Fort Bend County, not Brazoria County. Now that concludes my presentation.
Okay, do we have any comments from the commissioners?
No comments.
Go ahead, Lan.
No, no comments.
Anyone else?
No, no comment from Andrew.
No comment from Ashley.
I'm not familiar with the platting in the third county, Fort Bend. Is that a unique operation to get plats through Fort Bend County as opposed to Brazoria or Harris?
The main difference with this is that in Brazoria County, we have an agreement with Brazoria County for approving plat, but we do not have a similar agreement with Fort Bend County. And so ultimately, it'll have to go through an approval process with the Fort Bend County, assuming that the Planning Commission were to approve this plat. At least that's my understanding, unless I'm incorrect. Lawrence?
Okay. I guess we can proceed with the vote.
But it is in the city of Pearland. Well, in the ETJ.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
ETJ.
ma'am.
While this particular plat is in the city's ETJ, the city of Pearland has a development agreement with the Lakes of Savannah, which encompasses this particular area. We've approved these plats or these types of plats in the ETJ, whether it be in Brazoria County or Fort Bend County, for other portions of this development. So that is not different.
Any other comments?
I believe somebody has also asked to speak on this particular issue. Martin, do you have the form there? I think Ms. Curtis had called in and asked to speak.
Okay, it didn't show up on my agenda, so I'm sorry I didn't ask.
Jennifer, you've been given audio bridge access. If you can enable audio on your computer, you should be able to speak. Jennifer, you've been unmuted.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Did I mute it? Hello?
We hear you.
Oh, good. I actually wasn't calling in on this item. I was calling in on the next one, which is also Stewart Heights. And I just was going to call in to see if you guys had any questions, and that was all.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions?
No, sir.
I don't think so.
No questions.
No questions from Andrew.
I don't have any questions either, so I guess we can move for the vote, and we do that individually. Lanny, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ashley, how do you vote?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes, sir.
And I vote in favor also, so it passes unanimously 5-0. Next item on the agenda is consideration of possible action, preliminary plat of Stewart Heights at Savannah, Section 15, plat 20-00029, a request of Jennifer Curtis of Meta Planning and Design, the applicant on behalf of Brian Gibson of Savannah Development Limited, owner, for the approval of the preliminary plat of Stewart Heights at Savannah, Section 15, creating 48 single-family lots and 5 reserves on 21.0932 acres of land located north of County Road 58, Post Road, west of the Varia and Fort Bend County line. The general location is north of County Road 58 and Post Road west of the Varia Fort Bend County line. Do I have a motion?
This is Lainey. So moved.
This is Andrew, a second.
Is there anyone from the public that has signed up to speak to this item?
I believe this was the item that Ms. Curtis was interested in speaking. Or answer questions, at least.
You want, I guess, have staff presentation then?
Yes, sir. This is Vince Husted. This item is the preliminary plat of Stewart Heights, Savannah, Section 15, also located in the City of Pearland extraterritorial jurisdiction covered by the Lakes of Savannah Development Agreement. And it is located north of County Road 58 and Post Road west of the Varia Fort Bend County line. This plat does meet the criteria for approval found on the code conformance table on the next slide. And also staff is recommending approval of this preliminary plat because it meets the criteria of approval found in the UDC for a preliminary plat. And the next slide also shows the location of the applicant's property in the City of Pearland ETJ. And the final slide shows the configuration of the proposed plats. That concludes my presentation.
Any comments from the commissioners?
No, sir.
No comment from Andrew.
No comment from Lainey.
No comment from Ashley.
No comments from the chair. At this point, we can vote. Ashley, how do you vote?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes, sir.
Andrew,
Yes.
Lanny,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So it passes unanimously, 5-0. Next item is consideration possible action preliminary plat of Post Road Street dedication, section 1, plat 20-00032. A request of Renee Rodriguez of LJA Engineering applicant on behalf of Ethan Springer, Savannah Development Limited owner, for approval of a preliminary plat of Post Road Street dedication, section 1, dedicating 60 feet of right-of-way for Post Road west of Hawthorne Village Drive on 2.904 plus or minus acres of land described. And its general location is the north side of Post Road west of Hawthorne Village Drive. Do I have a motion?
This is Laney. So moved.
This is Andrew, I second.
Hey, do we have a staff presentation?
This item is located along the south edge of the Lakes of Savannah Development. It is the north side of Post Road of what will be west of Hawthorne Village Drive, located in Fort Bend County. The preliminary plat meets the criteria of approval found on the code conformance table. Staff does recommend approval of the preliminary plat because it meets the criteria of approval in the UDC for preliminary plats. The next slide shows the basically the configuration of the plat, which will dedicate the right-of-way, increasing the width of Post Road on the north side. And then the final slide shows the configuration of the proposed right-of-way dedication. That concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public comments on this item? Hearing none. Do we have any comments from the commissioners?
So I have a question, I guess. We're increasing the right of way just on that section,
Yes, ma'am.
the 60 feet?
Yes, ma'am.
Will it be increased wider in the future as development occurs?
My understanding is that, well, with this particular section of right-of-way, it is adjacent to the housing additions in the Lakes of Savannah Development, but it's also my understanding that the southern portion of the right-of-way had not been included yet, because it's my understanding there was still ownership issues, but ultimately it will be up to Fort Bend County to accept it as public right-of-way, since it would be their road to maintain.
So the right of way directly across this street is not 60 feet.
Correct.
And
Hi, this is Parviz with engineering. Just to clarify the right-of-way, the developer dedicates 30 feet from the north. I believe the existing right-of-way was 60. With this 30 will become 90. And since the south of Post Road is not owned by this developer, we cannot get any dedication at this point. So ultimately, after everything is done in future, when the dedication in south happens, we will be 120 feet wide.
So in the future, it would be a I guess a thoroughfare type street classification?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Staff does recommend this approval of this.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Even though the rest of the road is not going to have that same right of way.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if I'm understanding it correctly, what you're saying is that as property across the road develops, they will acquire the additional right of way to have 120-foot total right of way. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
But go back to the picture. I'm not talking about across that part of the road. I'm talking about if you look further down the road, across the side street. I mean, what good does it do to widen that part of the road if that's the goal, if you can't widen the other part of the road? You see what I'm saying?
Are you asking about the west side of this property?
I'm directionally challenged, but yes, I guess so.
Let's see. You're asking about the.
I'm actually talking
you
about the
asked-
east. If I'm looking at it north is literally up, then I'm talking about the east side of the road.
The east side of this portion of the roadway, it's already constructed to the full 4-lane boulevard. So that's the ultimate goal here. According to the development agreements between county, us, and the developer, they are responsible to build half a boulevard on this section. And whenever county gets the rest of the right of way, either the county itself or the developer in south has to build the second half of the boulevard.
Which is basically a normal occurrence when the developer
Yes.
doesn't own both sides of the road.
That's correct, yes. And also, we can't, or looking at the rest of the road is really out of the purview here because this particular plat is only from point A to point B, and that's really what we're discussing.
Does that answer your concerns, Lenny?
It does, but the staff, it said, I thought it said on the staff suggestion, it did say, yes, next to something that, next one. Comprehensive plan. Thoroughfare plan. I mean, that would lead to my concern about the rest of the road. But
Ms. Kate, if I may, this is incremental development, and it will allow eventually for the full thoroughfare plan to be realized, which is why this is a yes within the code performance.
all right.
Any other comments? Are we ready to take a vote? Henry?
Yes.
Ashley?
Yes.
Lanny?
Ask me last, please.
Andrew,
Yes.
and I would vote yes, so it's approved.
Yes.
Next item. Oh, sorry. I'm having a little problem.
That's okay.
This
I mean, I
is
still have to vote.
hearing all.
And I said yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry I missed it first. I thought you'd already voted. Item E, consideration and possible action, a replat of Center Pearland Parkway Phase 2, plat 20-00034, a request of Jeff Boutte of Windrose Land Services, the applicant on behalf of SR Pearland 2 LLC owner, for approval of a replat of the center of Pearland Parkway Phase 2, creating 2 lots and 1 restricted reserve on 12.801 acres of land located on the northwest side of Pearland Parkway at Pebble Creek Drive. And that is the general location. Staff report.
This item is located in the center at Pearland Parkway Planned Unit Development. Also, recently, the Planned Unit Development had been amended to alter the allowable side yard setbacks on the property. So that would mean that this plat would not create any issues with the setbacks of the existing building on the property. And the Planning and Zoning Commission had approved a planning and zoning variance to allow the creation of an irregular shaped lot. Since the property had already been platted previously, this application is being processed as a replat. So on this plat meets the criteria for approval found on the code conformance table. And staff also recommends approval of this replat because it meets the criteria for approval found in the UDC for replats. The applicant's, the next slide shows the location of the applicant's property on Pearland Parkway in the shopping center that's located there. And also the final slide shows the configuration of the proposed lot. That concludes my staff presentation.
Did we lose Mr. Wicker? Oh, there he is.
I'm back now. Was it me or was it everybody?
I've stayed on.
I think it was just you, Mr. Wicker.
Okay, I don't see Lanny back yet.
No.
I'm here. I never left.
Okay. I'm sorry if it was my connection, huh? Do we have any more staff presentation?
No, sir.
As an item of public input, has anyone signed up to speak to this?
I don't show anyone has signed up to speak to this item.
Okay, we'll proceed with a vote. Did we have a motion on this? I'm sorry, I got lost in.
We haven't done a motion yet, Mr.
Do we
Wicker.
have a motion on?
No, sir.
Okay. I would entertain a motion.
This is Laney, so moved.
This is Andrew, a second.
Have a motion and a second. We can proceed with the vote. Lanny, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ashley, how do you vote?
Yes.
Henry
Yes, sir.
and Andrew?
Yes.
And I vote yes also, so it's approved 5-0. Moving on with the agenda, item F, consideration and possible action replat of the reserve at SCR 2 plat 20-00031. A request of Glenn Freeland of Stantec, the applicant on behalf of Osprey PL Properties LLC and CCAC Reserve Holdings LLC owners for approval of the replat of the reserve at SCR2, creating 2 non-residential lots on 10.4676 acres of land located at 15424 South Freeway. Do I have a motion for approval?
This is Laney, so moved.
Seconded by Andrew.
Have a motion and a second, and we have staff report.
This is Vince Husted. This property is located in the Shadow Creek Ranch PUD, and it's in close proximity to State Highway 288. This replat does meet the criteria for approval found on its open performance table. Staff does recommend approval of this replat to meet the criteria of approval found in the UDC for a replat. The next slide shows the location of the property along State Highway 288, and as you can see, it will be large tracts of land consistent with the neighboring properties. And the final slide shows the configuration of the proposed lot in this replat. That concludes my staff presentation.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public input? Has anyone signed up?
There are 2 people who have signed up, a Nicholas Roth and Glenn Freeland, both of which were signed up to address any questions if needed. And we can make their microphones hot.
Good evening, everybody. This is
Does
Glenn
anyone
Freeland.
have any questions? Go ahead.
This is just Glenn Freeland, it's, the surveyor. Just here if anybody had any questions. Otherwise, I guess it's ready for a vote.
Does anyone have a question?
No questions from Laney. Thank you, though.
No questions from Ashley.
No questions from Andrew.
Okay, I don't have any questions. Are we ready to vote? Lanny?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Ashley?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
I vote in the affirmative also. Motion passes unanimously. Next item 4, discussion items, Commissioner activity report. Anyone have any activities to report?
No activities from Andrew.
No activities from Ashley.
They're not hearing anymore. I guess the only thing I'd like to say is commenting on the meeting format. It's going it's going to take, I guess, a little bit of getting used to on all of this. First time I've been involved in a meeting online, and I'm sure that this can all be improved later, but it's a little bit different than meeting in person, and maybe before long we can be back in a regular environment in City Hall.
I hope we can be back soon, but you did great, Mr. Wicker.
Well, thank you. I'm sure I don't have a very fast internet connection, so I apologize for losing everyone for a while. Our next meeting is April 20th, and we hope to see everyone then, hopefully in person. If I doubt that will be the case, but hopefully before long we can get back to an in-person meeting.
It's nice meeting you, Henry.
Thank you, and I would like to say thanks to Martin and the IT guys. They helped me through a few problems that I had. Sure to appreciate it, and look forward to meeting you all in person.
Someday soon, I hope.
Yeah, welcome.
Let's all.
Sorry, I didn't know who you were.
No, that's I'm not popular.
I don't think that has anything to do with it. It's just been a weird month, you know?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, we look forward to meeting you in person, Henry.
Yes, sir.
Hi, everybody.
Okay, at that
We
point,
Bye, lady.
I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you all.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.